So our next reader was born in Brooklyn and now resides in the Chicago suburbs. She has worked for Essence Communications as a photo editor, the Harlem Children's Zone as the managing editor of Harlem Overheard, StoryCorps as a facilitator coordinator, and Goldman Sachs as a long-term administrative temp/secret ethnographer. She is a 2008 graduate of Clarion West and proud alum of Columbia University School of General Studies, majoring in anthropology. She is currently reworking a NaNoWriMo project into a novel and a screenplay because she is a masochist. Put your hands together for Tracy Harford Porter.
I'll do maybe this.
Yeah.
That'll work. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you so much. This is my third time here. Woo! Third time's the charm. Get it right. This story is called Whatever Happened to Mercedes Legare. Whatever Happened to Mercedes Legare by Matthew Thompson for Vidium Publications. After the reality bomb hit, it was easy to find work with the onslaught of aliens entering into our consciousnesses and physically presenting themselves as our deepest desires, fears, fantasies, and dreams. Superheroes and witches, fae and cartoon characters. All of us were semi-pro helsings getting government checks to maintain order in the world. When the attack ended, 32 months later, with the 2034 intertemporal armistice, I put my stakes down in Bed-Stuy and found intermittent work as a lifestyle reporter, writing blog posts about our new intergalactic neighbors. But one hot morning on July 5th, 2035, the morning waves washed up more than the regular holiday trash. A body washed upon the shores of Sheepshead Bay that no one could claim. Not us, not them. A half-decomposed form, more goo than structure, but with the shape of discernible scales and fingers embedded in the sand. Since I covered the Brooklyn Bead and the previous winter took an administrator of the borough's morgue out for some top-notch dim sum, I got the chance to see it before the rest of the throng of reporters, but after the investigators had already sliced, diced, and categorized the sorry excuse for a corpse. There wasn't much to see, but Sherry let it slip that there were some personal effects, including the business card of a certain longtime source. This led me to the roving Bulgarian disco that night located in a South Brooklyn warehouse that was about to become a Trader Joe's, where I could potentially follow some leads. Because I had a funny feeling about this, and I was reminded of a particular New Year's Eve when I was on leave during the war, and I discovered some gossip that night from my play cousin Kisle. As was our tradition on that New Year's Eve, Kisle and I spent most of the afternoon and evening helping his mother Ernestine clean her apartment in preparation for the new year. After watching an old vid link of the ball drop while holding our money of various denominations, we settled at the dining table, covered with small platters of fresh fruit and bottles of Clémasse, and caught up. It had been a good 6 months since we'd last spent time together, and there was a lot of ground to cover. Around 3 a.m., we devolved into maudlin reminiscing. Yo, remember when your cousin Steven dated a mermaid? What? Nah, he never told me that, I said. I thought the aliens were land-based only. Nah, I'm telling you, soldier, remember how I said those aliens came earlier? This is why. He sat back on his chair and crossed his arms, smiling in self-satisfaction. He dated her 10 years ago. Before the bomb? Yup. Well, what? They was doing advanced intel. She said she came from a long line of mermaids. He thought she was crazy, but he liked her for a minute. We all thought she was maybe into some voodoo shit. She had a Vivek tattooed on her back. I held my head and my hands already swimming with Clémasse. Okay, I've got to ask Steven about this. And I meant to. For 2 weeks, I meant to DM him, call him, text him. I never got a chance. And then he died. Konstantin was an alien projected as a fairy posing like an Eastern European vampire. His gorgeously turned and pointy ears and K-pop jawline ruined the whole effect as far as I was concerned, but you do you know. If I'm not turning my head for a homeless man with a rotting foot masturbating on a subway, do you think I give a fuck about your blood-stained tracksuit and sad attempt at a Slavic accent? But I get it. I don't get the impression that the aliens had much choice in the matter about what form they projected into, so maybe this was him asserting his will onto his physical form. Simply put, he was a work in progress. I head up to his booth and avail myself of the bottle service. Matthew, what a treat. Are you ready to embrace the dark gift? Not today, thanks. I've actually got some questions to ask you. I'm working on a couple of stories. I'm bored, so I'm listening. Have you heard of any one of your folk going aquatic? The transferring of gases through water is much more difficult for us, unfortunately. Very painful. Okay, separate and unrelated question. I showed him a picture of the deflated corpse on my phone. Have you ever heard of the name Mercedes Legare? Konstantin bared his teeth so quickly that I startled. Get out. I quickly complied. It's easy to figure out people nowadays. They just put it all out there anyway. Before meeting up, I looked back into Konstantin's Insta about a year and a half before I saw what I was looking for. Pictures of Mercedes Legare, her arms around an invisible Konstantin. He was dressed in a shitty suit that appeared to float in the air. She looked exactly the same as she did in the creased photograph I found in Steve's pocket when I collected his belongings for the family. On the back, my cousin scrawled handwriting. I don't deserve you. I knew that Steve was always an odd guy. I didn't want to find her because I thought she caused anything. Steve didn't have great habits. He smoked and drank and ate poorly. A heart attack isn't exactly unexpected. But I know this. Before he met Mercedes, he was different. And I wanted to know if she knew why he became different, why he gave up on all the promise invested in him and his genius, left school, and became voluntarily homeless on a Hawaii beach. Mercedes was a ghost. I knew she'd gone to an engineering school, but she'd vanished before graduation. I contacted all the alumni I could find, but just got weird innuendos and rumors. It was particularly interesting to peruse old posts about Mercedes' whereabouts rising to a fever pitch during the Alumni Week timeline. Tiffany Butler, class of 12, heard she'd had an abortion and gone crazy. Others thought she'd joined an ashram. Only a few knew the real story. Iron Dogs for Life posted, that crazy bitch thought she was a mermaid. By the time the reality bomb hit, Facebook had been around for almost 20 years, and yet she still had no profile. A name search only presented an ancient address and contact info, a fuzzy photograph or two, each over 10 to 15 years old themselves. She would pop up at a party in Ibiza or on a yacht on the Gowanus under an assumed name and then would quickly be discovered, and then she'd disappear again. As I walked down the street after being ejected from the disco, I received a DM from Konstantin. No hard feelings, but I'm going to have to block you. But I had what I needed. Between face recognition, friends liking and linking and following one another in various loosely secured location settings, I found Mercedes at an art gallery in the South Bronx about a week later. She wore a rainbow-colored, voluminous long dress with a silky fabric so fine that the yards of material echoed every moment and slope of her frame. She turned and looked at me, and surprisingly, I saw a note of recognition in her eyes. She walked up to me in the cavernous space, her steps echoing off the concrete walls. Hi, do I know you? You look familiar to me. Her smile was sunny and sharp. No, but I think you dated a cousin of mine, Stephen Franks. The surfer! Oh yeah, Stephen's wonderful. How is he? He passed away during the war. Her smile fell. He fought. No, it was natural causes, a heart attack. Oh, well, I'm sorry to meet you and bring up such sad news. Actually, I came tonight hoping I could speak to you. He carried a picture of you in his wallet, and I guess I wanted to tell you that. She stopped, looked at me quizzically, and said, "You're the reporter, aren't you? Konstantin warned me about you." "Yes, I am a reporter," I said, "but this is personal story. I'm after for my family. Can I buy you a drink?" This was my first lie. A day later, we sat by the windows of El Cantor restaurant, me with my vetted and unvetted questions, and she in a trench coat dress with an iridescent pattern, and we ate good food and made fun of people passing by. We created a whole slew of biographies. She said, "Oh, look, this guy's a beekeeper, but since the issues with colony collapse, he also wrangles wasps." "Ha, what about her?" I said. She is a nurse at an old folks' home. She goes home and her emotional tank is empty. She refills it with cats and collectibles. She also volunteers at her local church. "Oh, quietly dark," she said. "And him? Oh, he's an art dealer that launders money for the Serbian mob." "That's specific." "It's what I do. She looked around, gestured for the check. I hadn't even gotten through half the questions about Stephen, let alone the gotchas I had for her, and said, "Say, do you know how to swim? I'm house sitting a sweet pad with a deck pool." "Oh no, I don't know how, never did learn." She slammed her hand on the table. "Okay, you need to learn. Your people come from an island. This is a life skill." Hoping that there was more than an invitation to swim, I let her lead me to the midtown penthouse apartment with actual rooftop deck containing a small but deceptively shallow-looking pool. She stripped off her dress to reveal a one-piece suit bedazzled with unicorns. I sat on a pool chair by the table with an elaborately carved wooden box, placed my phone on the box, and pressed record. She dove in, swimming powerfully underwater until she surfaced at the other end. She kicked up one leg. "See no tail!" She laughed merrily as my face reddened in embarrassment. She continued, "Listen, I know reality's been sort of unmoored over the last few years, and I know the rumors. I'm not crazy." "Did you tell Steve that you were a mermaid, though?" I asked. She kicked off the far pool side and lazily swam back to me. "I told him what I tell everyone, the truth. My family comes from a long line of mermaids. It's a part of our family history." I saw the edges of her back tattoo peeking outside the borders of her suit, the swirls and angles of a vivet. "Why the tattoo?" "It's a personal reason. You do realize that I leave myself to be permanently bound or possessed?" "Yes, I've heard that from every tati I know." She smiled, dog paddling in the water. "I don't like that way of thinking, do you?" "What, superstitious?" I asked. "No, limited, provincial. For example," she held the edge of the pool by my feet and stared up at me in the deck chair. "Do you partake?" "Of what?" "The owner of this place is a chemist. Open that box." I moved my phone and opened the box. "It's a veritable cornucopia in here," I said, stunned. "The last time I saw this many pills, I was helping my grandma organize her medicine." "Pink one, please," she asked. I picked out a pink pill, hesitated, and took another for myself and swallowed it immediately. I knelt to her level to hand it to her. She opened her mouth, and I placed it on her tongue as piously as one would offer a sacrament. She closed her mouth, swallowed, and floated on her back. "Go ahead, shoot." "Okay, what do you do for a living?" "I am a diplomat." She took a long, languorous stroke in circles. "I am on a secret fact-finding mission. I am gathering materials as quickly as I can in order to do oversight. The Secretary of State said that last night about Mauritania." "Did he? Does that make what I said any less untrue?" "I don't know, frankly. How did you and Stephen meet?" I asked. "I was collecting trash on the shores of Coney Island." "Because?" "Because it was a Saturday and it was my day off from work. Stephen lived in one of those big project buildings down the beach from the park. He was walking to the train and he saw me. Love at first sight." What was he like?" "He was funny. He made me laugh. Very smart." She started a slow laugh. "Why did you break up with him?" "Why do you think I broke up with him?" She completed the lap, climbed out, and grabbed a towel at the edge of the pool, wrapping herself. "Amazing. Saltwater pool. Want to try later?" "Maybe not," I said. That was my second lie. I'm not sure what the pink pill did. All I remember is azure water surrounding me, covering me, entering my mouth, and sinuses ruffling my hair. And in that water, I breathed freely in the nutritious liquid filled with krill and algae. I swam down to the cold depths and caressed albino misshapen creatures. I crawled along the seabed and gripped the sand with both fists to assure myself it was real, and over and over, swam back up again to the light. When I awoke the next morning, I found myself on a gigantic white sectional in the empty penthouse, a note written on creamy paper, folded once, neatly resting on my chest. Written on it, "Matthew, I had a lovely evening. Sorry the pink pill took you out. Help yourself to the fridge, but be out by noon. Smiley face, Mercedes. P.S. No more interviews, I think." She disappeared again. And then we come to last week Monday, when our world yet again changed forever. At Coney Island, the seas parted and the television cameras watched as a delegation of augmented sea creatures stepped onto dry ground. They were met by a large human party who wept tearfully, embracing the creatures as if they were long-lost relatives. I later discovered that many of those people were from the Legare family branch. I took a city car down, hoping I would find Mercedes in the crowd, but everyone important had left in a caravan of limousines and buses for talks at the United Nations. The news is grim. Reparations for centuries of pollution will probably bankrupt us all. The reality bomb did not act the same way on the seas. Instead of creating individual alien personalities, the anima of the bomb awakened an old, cold memory, a memory of true gods and men. It awakened the ones who were close to the sea and of the sea. It awakened what was already there, and now we are not allowed to touch the sea. There are nights when I start a bath and sleep in the tub until morning. I use Epsom salts, but it is not the same, of course. There are nights when I wake up with the taste of her in my mouth, the sweet, briny taste and scent of her filling my sinuses, a sharp smell of pennies and algae and ocean air. I miss her. No, that is a lie. I ache for her. I pray that she molted and is out there living her life unencumbered by our expectations of disclosure and entertainment. She deserved better than me, and she certainly deserved better than us. But I sure do ache. Maybe I'll go swimming tonight in honor of her. Thank you.